All right, it's Wednesday, May 10th. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today we end up with a outside bar, a 3 bar that took out the high of the previous day. Actually took out the high of the previous 2 days and the low of the previous 2 days. So it's a big kind of broadening action bar on its own that had a bit of a hammer look, but closed a little bit red. So if we really break down what today was all about, and certainly it seems a little tricky, but it's something that also is not necessarily unexpected, given the fact we've been talking about how we're in this big range here on the daily chart. You spread the daily chart out, and there's a lot of choppy action going on here. Now we're still, at least I am biased towards, we took out the low of that range back here last week, and then had a pretty big push up. So I'm anticipating eventually getting to the high of that range until proven otherwise. Proven otherwise means on this weekly chart here, we have to get some actionable signal to the downside, which at this rate, with 2 days to go in the week, is going to have to be some kind of an inside week here that breaks to the downside next week, or we get a 2 up week that gets a 2 down week. Until that develops, and we don't really know, for sure, then I'm still anticipating the upper end of the range being taken out, but you have to let price action lead the way. So today, I talked about, first of all, in the last 2 days, how a good signal for this, since we had this big green day on Friday, gap up and close really strong, and then we just paused on Monday, would be like a downside failure of some kind that then starts up. That would be kind of a good signal, at least for this week, to work towards the high of this range. And it looked like today was going to be the day to get it after kind of a small little bar yesterday. And then we had that CPI number, that I said could bring a little volatility into the mix. And what happened was we were kind of trending down here near the, pre-open, which would have actually set up a nice, buy signal if we failed to go lower. But then the news was released and the market reacted positive. And pre-market, we went up and took out, all those targets, at least the very short-term targets on the daily chart. Getting above this bar, your target was here and here. Then you had these 2 bars together. You even had this next bar up here. So right away, we were gapping up there. And I shot a little pre-open video showing how it's a little tricky at that point, since you've already taken out the targets. We're in a very choppy range. What could happen next, but definitely biased a little bit to the upside, but knowing, we did take out the target. So what happened was, on the 15-minute chart here, structure-wise, price opens up and immediately moves lower on the red bar. So at that point, you're looking kind of red to green, or you're thinking that way, and I'll show you in a minute why I was kind of I wasn't really trading the SPY. I was looking for some stocks that were strong, even on this kind of weak opening in the indexes. But as it turns out, if you were trading the indexes just purely on its own, you could have judged this bar 2 as a red to green move, a failure to go down and then start it up. And you'd want to see that, once you buy it right here above the high of bar 2, you want it to really take out the first bar high and the pre-market highs. That would be your goal. And once you saw that, next bar looked nice, it had green, a little bit of a sell-off, and then this 4th bar, you would have really wanted it to be that's a red to green move, taking out its obvious target. And in this case, it then moved down. And to me, if you were trading the indexes on its own, you would have, taken a very small loss here once you saw this bar form on bar number 4. And then at that point, we kind of worked lower. And since we took out the midpoint of the prior day at that point, we were very close to it on that, bar 2, but we didn't get there. Once we took that out, I kind of, I'll get into it in a minute. I had a feeling we were going to, if you just broaden the chart out and the choppiness of it all, since we made the higher highs here, I was looking for the lower lows here below these pre-market lows, which eventually got there. So I ended up later on buying just some puts and kind of taking gains into here, just knowing the choppy nature of it. I didn't know for sure if we were going to continue lower into this gap, but as it turns out, the market immediately, and it's not surprising, had a very strong reversal to the upside, and that still falls in line with our daily chart that's looking to move up higher tomorrow. To the top of this range, and then tomorrow, if we can stay above the midpoint of this day, and we have some good support here, the same way we have pretty good support when you see these buying tails, you get support in the mid point of those, and that's why this whole week kind of met support here. And then on the daily chart, we have that same support tomorrow over here. So if we stay above that, and have a good opening price action, we should be heading higher with this hammer bar towards these targets, and we'll find that out tomorrow. But in terms of the way to trade today, so with the up bias, even though we kind of gapped up big and had a little bit of a red bar to start, I was looking across the let me get to these whoops, my mouse is stuck, so that's not good. Let me see if this program, I'll just give it a sec. Yeah, there we go. So I was looking at individual stocks, and Amazon had a good start. Even though the indexes were going down, Amazon was green. So I bought Amazon here. I shot a video high, scaled out, set up a no risk trade, and that ended up chopping around and moving higher towards its target in time. So you could have traded that to the upside. I also had a Microsoft trade. I didn't trade that initially because by this point, it kind of paused on bar two and it was heading up. The SPY was heading down. But once I saw this, SPY heading down and Microsoft having kind of a pullback to the midway point of the first bar and a green bar, I bought, Microsoft here. I scaled out. I showed you that also kind of chopped around and worked higher. So there were good trades to the upside. And then when the market did break down, I was looking at Tesla, which actually, I forgot about that. I bought that early on too, along with Amazon right here. I decided to buy Amazon and Tesla out of the gates, and I shot a video how I bought that bar 3 breakout and then immediately exited here. So that's very similar to the SPY that I showed you. If you bought the red to green move, you would have had to exit quickly. I exited my Tesla trade right here. And then once it went down, similar to the SPY, I bought some puts here, and you can look at some videos how I was anticipating that heading down to the lows of yesterday, and there was a good trade in here. So, you were able to kind of take advantage of some of the structure on each stock, Tesla to the downside, other stocks, like Microsoft and Amazon to the upside. But the SPY itself, had pretty much a failure here, kind of like Tesla at the beginning. And then there was no real actionable signal, although I, decided to buy some puts here, just anticipating these lows taken out. And as it turns out, it's not surprising within this choppy and volatile environment that once it hit its target, it reversed. And if you were buying puts here, that's why you would have, if you were holding on, once you saw that little bar form and then head up, you would have exited there, just knowing you didn't get the follow through past a very key area. And then, very strong, reversal to the upside, which again is not, it's not surprising. That's what the market's been doing. We've been highlighting this all along: higher highs, lower lows. So once it hit here and hit the lower low, the higher high was here and the higher high was here, and it hit those two targets intraday. Even if you didn't take advantage of that, today was a day more to look for the individual stocks, and it was choppy and everything else. So I guess I'll end it there. In this choppy environment, this price action is a little tricky. For my trading style, let's go back to the individual stocks. It worked out well just because I like to scale out and set up no risk trades. So in choppy environments like this, I could scale out and then kind of hold on through this area if I want, or just break even or take a small gain once I see it fail. And that's kind of my style. So, a lot of times I miss out on bigger gains because I'm scaling out, but in these environments, it helps me with my methodology, and I'm fine with that. So let's see how we end up the week. We have 2 more days to go. I still think we're biased to the upside. We were biased to the upside today, even though, there was an opportunity for some puts in an aggressive way to take out, a target if you just kind of grasp that in this type of environment, making higher highs and lower lows. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be a more smoother day of trading. Ideally, I'd like to see it hold above the midpoint, have a good pre-market range here, start up strong, and then work towards these targets. So we'll see if that happens by the end of the week. That's kind of the expectation still until proven otherwise.